This is ContactTalkRadio.com, consciousness in action, and you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Ping.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Welcome to Life Mastery Radio with Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey, the show that dives into the science of higher consciousness with inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. Join Todd, Jackie, and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. It's all right here with stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Now, here's your hosts, Todd and Jackie.
Hey, it's another groovy day, and you know why that is. Because I make it that way. When I get up in the morning, I already decide it's going to be a groovy day, and I start my day. Now, things might change, things might evolve, but I always think back, hey, I started out groovy, we can make this groovier. That's what we can do, and it always works out. And then the day is done. I had a groovy day. It's also a groovy day because I get to hang out with one of my very close friends, Jackie Bailey. And hello. Jackie is my co-host here on Life Mastery Radio, the talk show that brings you great thoughts and ideas for you to use on your very own life mastery journey. Let's see, Jackie, what are we talking about? Oh, Feng Shui is our topic today. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, but I'm feeling like I need to learn Feng Shui because I'm probably off balance in a lot of areas. So I'm excited about the discussion, but we're also talking about the Chinese New Year and how that affects each of us as well. So it's going to be a very interesting discussion today.
Yep, Jackie's going to be off on another tent. No, I'm just kidding.
It's funny that, so many of these topics that you and I discuss with our guests, many of them are new to me. And yet I feel this sense of, ooh, that sounds like something I need to investigate because, it connects with me somehow. And so, I have an experience almost every week with one of our guests about that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's the cool part. And that's why it's a really groovy day, because both of you get to hang, both of you, he, she, and you, or whatever it is, get to hang out with some really cool people that are on the cutting edge of our exploration of ourself, I guess is what you would want to say. And we share some great thoughts and ideas, I think, that people can put in their toolkit or investigate it some more. And boy, our guest today is really going to entice people into this topic of Feng Shui. How are things at the speakfeedlead.org project?
We are getting busy. We've got in-person summer camps that we're going to be doing this year in July and August. And they're going to be week-long camps, day camps.
And this is young adults.
Well, no, it'll be 5th grade through 8th grade.
Huh?
Yeah, 5th grade through 8th grade. And they will, in each week, they will be completing specifically something about communication. So the first week, they're going to craft a championship speech, and we're going to have a competition at the end of the week.
Wow.
Second week, they're going to learn how to give a keynote speech and craft their own life keynote speech. I think everybody needs to have a keynote speech always in their back pocket, right? So they're going to have
when they're that young. That's amazing.
Yeah. So they're going to craft a keynote speech, and then they're going to be part of our summit that we're going to be giving in September. So there'll be speakers on our summit with their keynote speech. And then the next week, they're going to be TED Talkers. So we're working with an organization that puts TED Talk events on for young people. And at the end of that week of camp, they'll have their TED Talk all ready to roll and know how to apply for that. And then the fourth week is an author in a week. So with all of that speech information and all these different ways that they've crafted ways to communicate and get their message out, then we're going to put it all into a book, and it will be a compilation book that they'll put together from the messages that they
Jackie,
discover.
you're forming future leaders of the world, right? When you're in 8th grade cool. And you compile what it is that's important to you and what it is and who I am and what I'm about, and that just starts the exploration off. Oh my goodness, that's just so cool. That is very cool.
Well, I'll tell you, when kids know who they are and they know the value of the life experiences they've had and how they can inspire others through that. When they get off to college, or even when they get into high school and there's pressure to do this or that, or to be someone that they're not, they're less likely to give in to those pressures because they have this very strong sense of who they are. And it doesn't matter what other people think. And so that in itself is a powerful way to know how to think about yourself. So I'm so
powerful way to empower young people. That's
really
what it
cool.
is. It's pretty cool. Right
really
on.
Cool. Yeah.
You can find out more at speakfeedly.org or just Google Jackie Bailey. It'll come up. Life Mastery Radio will come up too. And you can follow the link to our website at lifemasteryradio.net or .com. Everything about our shows, our weekly shows are right there. We have a show page for each guest, links to our guests' websites and books and whatever else they have. But while you're there, sign up for our newsletter. Our newsletter goes out once a week. It highlights who's been on the show, who's coming on the show, and a blog post about the show. And Jackie always has some great insight. You read that blog post and it will entice you to go to our YouTube channel and listen to the show. We have many venues. We're also on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeart. Oh my goodness, the list goes on and on and on. We are available everywhere. Tell your friends about us. Tell your friends about this really cool show with these really cool guests that we talk about some really cool things that make a difference in our lives. That's what we're all about. And while you're there, you will see my book, and you can follow the link to Amazon and love. Oops.
Oh.
6 Keys to Life Mastery. You can follow the link and you'll love the book. And please be sure and leave some feedback. Jackie has a book too. It's right there behind her. Oh, she's got a copy today. Self-Centered Leadership.
And my new compilation.
And then she's in that book where she wrote a Dear John letter to fate. No,
Lack.
Lack
And I have broken up.
How's that working?
It's good. Once in a while, he calls, I don't have to just say, not
later, dude.
Call. Yeah.
I'm done with you. You are so far out of the picture.
Not getting back together. Not ever happening again.
We're going to have to follow along with that. Did I forget anything? I don't think so. We have a really cool guest today, Jillian Rothschild-Scholar, and she is the Feng Shui fairy. Did you know that, Jackie?
The Feng Shui fairy?
She's a Feng Shui fairy.
All right. Awesome.
That's what I heard today.
Well, it's probably because she has a magic wand, right? And she gives us enlightenment.
Jillian is a classically trained Feng Shui expert, and her foundational training is in the ancient wisdom of the over 400-year-old Wu Chang Feng Shui mastery lineage. She has been working in a private Feng Shui consultancy since 2010. She uses the wisdom of ancient time-tested methods, systems, and applications while offering practical solutions for modern lifestyles. One of her strengths is that she can simplify the intricate details so clients can take immediate action to enhance the physical, emotional, and/or spiritual aspects of their lives. This is what she says. Feng Shui for ambitious people who feel like something is off. They can get clarity, confidence, and a sense of empowerment by considering the significance of Feng Shui of your home. Keep that good energy flowing. Jillian, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Thank you. It's so great to be back and see you all again. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we had you on back in, I think, late October. Jackie was absent. She was off cruising around the world somewhere. Who knows?
Somewhere amazing, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Somewhere amazing. Oh, yeah. She came back with a big smile on her face, and then she did it again. She liked it so much, she did it again.
In January.
Fun.
But Jillian, so what was I thinking while I was reading your introduction? Oh, your teachings, your expertise is ancient Chinese traditional. I think we said it goes back 400 years. And to me, when somebody is teaching that kind of thing, it must be very popular. It must be very prevalent because it's been around for a very long time. Can you tell us a little bit more about, did I say it right?
Wuchang
Wuchang
mastery
Feng
lineage.
Shui.
Yeah, you did great. It's excellent. So the grandmaster teacher of my lineage is Grandmaster Yap Chang Hai, who passed away a number of years ago. Was originally from China and migrated to Kuala Lumpur and Singapore during the diaspora, essentially, for lack of a better term, and taught people all over the world in these ancient practices. So we're talking about text-based classical approach using the wisdom that the Chinese ancients had got. And what did they have to do thousands of years ago? They just observed. There wasn't technology, right? All they could do was observe the land, observe nature, their relationship to it, and how to make their lives better.
And
So
figure out how things work, right?
figure out how things work, right? Some of these things are amazing, like learning about the I Ching and the classical texts and their methods and systems. And it's pretty remarkable what they were able to discover, and that it's now time tested. So we know that over all these hundreds of years, it's working because it's still being taught and it's still being applied.
Or it works, and it gives people the solutions or the answers or the direction in which they should make choices or do different things, or huge.
It's all really holistic, where Chinese metaphysics and on the Chinese 5 arts are so integrated. So in ancient China, if you were ill and you went to the doctor, we would say it's a Chinese medicine doctor, but it's their culture, right? So if they're just going to the doctor to find out what's wrong, and the doctor would not only look at their physical body, but they may also go to the home and see, is there something going on in the house that is root cause of your illness? Is your home on the wrong side of the mountain? Is it too windy? Is it too damp? Is there something energetically going on in the house that is causing disruption so that you are not well?
Location.
It's all feng shui.
And it's so interesting about that too, because doctors were not scholars, right? That it's not like they had, back then anyway, they hadn't been through all these years of medical school, but they were just healers. So they were these natural, holistic, you say, healers. And so they were taking all of these things into consideration and using what they knew about the planet, which obviously was a lot. And I, it's interesting that we say, wow, it was amazing that they knew so much back then, because we're comparing it to what we know now, which really isn't anything. But because the way I look at it is that in ancient China and in ancient civilizations, they were probably so close to the spiritual realm that it was automatic for them. They hadn't had colleges, take the spirituality out of things that they often do.
Maybe you could call that information pollution.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because when you look at the earth, everything is so well patterned, and we've somehow lost this ability to watch for patterns and be able to interpret those for our own good.
Right. There's a lot of interference that we have now because we have technology, and knowledge is so accessible. You could just go on your favorite browser and type something in, poof. You could spend days on a topic based on the information that's available out there in the libraries that we have amassed and collected information. And you're right. All they had to do was observe nature and be connected to it, observe its patterns, and be in alignment with those patterns to have a good life. That's what we're doing in Feng Shui, helping you get into alignment so you can have a good life.
Yeah.
So give us a little bit of, it's a huge subject, and there is so much that we could get into, but give us an idea of the types of things that we can learn about ourselves or our future, or what can we really tap into that helps us in our day-to-day lives and to make better choices.
That's a great question. When people come to me for Feng Shui, they're usually coming for one of three main reasons: for health, wealth, and relationships. And those, largely the stuff that we deal with in life, in our human experience, fall under one of those three categories. And so what we're doing is we're using Feng Shui to help use it as a support system for our lives, so that when our lives have support through our physical environment, it's just easier to achieve the things that we want in life, like well-being, good health, abundance, happiness, satisfaction, fulfillment. Again, the nature of the things that we want in life and we want to experience can all be addressed with Feng Shui. Does that answer your question?
Pretty much. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can discover. And And not only does it apply to the individual, but it applies to societies and to the world as a whole. The Chinese were, did I catch it right this morning, a 60-year cycle, or is it a 12-year cycle with, because we're in the Chinese year of the tiger, right? And
Right.
so those are cycles. Is that 60 years or is that a 12-year?
There's multiple cycles, actually. So we're currently, the year of the tiger is part of a 60-year cycle. So we could look back 60 years and look at the energy of what happened 60 years ago. And you could look back 120 years and look at the history of what happened during those years to get an idea of what we could potentially expect to experience this year. And then you can look back every other year in correspondence. So for example, if you were turning 60, you're having what's called a Fu Yin year because you're experiencing the same energy as the year that you were born. And unless you live to be 120, you're never going to experience it again, which is sometimes a relief because if you have a crappy year, you can just be like, it was just a year and I don't ever have to experience that again. But if you're in a time period when the energy feels really good, you want it to last and you want to have more of that.
So this year I'm starting over, right? Because last year I turned 60. So now I'm starting over.
You're still in that year though until your birthday, right?
Oh, that's true.
Right. Well, so your energy, the year that you were born is the same as last year's energy. And that shifted February 4th of 22. So last year might have been really interesting for you in a lot of different ways.
Every year is interesting. I'm just blown away by things around me and especially in our, we don't want to get too far up in the weeds, but our society, it just blows me away that we could be this so archaic as a planetary beings. We could be so archaic in the year 2022. It's almost like we went back to the World War II era when we don't want to get off in the weeds. So tell us more. Tell us more about the Chinese New Year. What is it that we're experiencing? What is it that is coming down the pipe for us?
Okay, so we can definitely touch base about that. I want to talk about just a couple of fundamental concepts that people need to understand. So when we talk about Chinese metaphysics, people kind of get an understanding of what we're discussing. One is qi, or energy. So that's the most basic explanation of qi. And there was really three different types of qi that we discuss when we talk about qi. There's form qi, formless qi, and human qi. So it's a broad topic, but for the purpose of Feng Shui, we talk about formless qi. And when we talk about Chinese astrology, we talk about human qi. Then there's another concept called the three lux. The three lux are what the energy that compose who we are. So heaven luck is what's fated. You're born with it. You can't change it. You can't crawl back in your mother's womb and be born at a different time. This is just what you're fated to have.
This is the deal there.
This is who the family you're born into, the part of the planet that you start your life at, where you grow up.
And that's significant. I don't want to get off too far off topic, but that is significant. That's significant. What starts the deal.
Right. You can make choices later. If you don't like where you are living on the planet, when you're independent and you have means, then you can choose to go somewhere else. And that's actually your human luck. So this is part of your human qi. This is your free will. These are the choices that we make. So there's heaven luck, human luck, and earth luck. Earth luck is your environment. So it's your feng shui, your physical location, your space. And in the East, this perspective on luck is that you cultivate your own luck. Preparation meets opportunity. So if you study hard, you practice, you become really good at the thing that you do. When the opportunity is there, you're in a much better position to grab it because opportunities come all the time. And are you open to seeing them? Are you ready to grab them? This is one of the aspects that Feng Shui is really good for, which addresses your question from earlier, because when you have good Feng Shui and your environment supports you, then you can be in a position to make those decisions to jump on opportunities when they come. And I know
that as paying attention.
Okay.
Right? Paying attention to what's going on around me and in like a third party perspective. Is that kind of the same?
Yeah. I mean, everybody needs Feng Shui. It's like food and oxygen and shoes. And if you're paying attention, like if you want to go somewhere and you want to take a walk, having shoes can help you get there faster instead of walking around barefoot. If you want to
I was going to say, hold on just a second, because
beep, we're going to back the truck up.
Feng Shui is something that I always thought was just based on how you decorate a home, right? So you got to have enough red.
She's trying not to laugh, Jackie. You can
I know, but I think this is how it's been railroaded or derailed from what it actually is someone wrote a book about how to decorate your home using Feng Shui, and people kind of thought, who didn't know any better, well, that's all that is. But so maybe I'm not alone in hearing for the first time that Feng Shui has everything to do with life patterns and with your expectations, your chi, your luck patterns, all that kind of stuff. So this is, in doing research. Yeah, it is a little bit. I mean, I recognized this before your interview started because I did a little research on you, but I was mind blown then. So in case there are other people out there who didn't know, like me, that there was a lot more to this than just decorating.
This is what happened last time I was here. This is almost the same conversation that we had before, because I think it was Heather. She was like, what? This is not what I thought it was. Yeah. It just happens to be that here in the United States, in the West, right, largely in the West, our experience of this cultural perspective of energy, yin and yang, which is this, widely recognized symbol of harmony and balance, the patterns and cycles and influences that go with yin and yang are not part of our culture. So to be easily digested, for lack of a better word, it has to be almost watered down so that we can really incorporate it and understand it. And in the 70s, it showed up here in the West brought by a couple of people to make it more tangible, different kind of perspective that wasn't classically rooted. And it got lumped into like the new age world of decorating and feeling good about your space. And that's lovely. Your space can look beautiful and should be aesthetically pleasing to you. However, it may not have good feng shui. And it also doesn't mean that your house has to look like a Chinese antique store to have good feng shui, because that's not fun either, unless that's your aesthetic. Right. I work with energetics. I don't work with aesthetics. I'm not an interior designer. There are
you don't care if my drapes are purple.
If you like them, that's great. I mean,
I heard you say that earlier.
Yeah. When people call me and go, I need you to tell me what kind of flooring to pick for my house. It's just, that's not the kind of work that I do that is the best use of my expertise, essentially. I help people get into energetic alignment with the energy that's available in their space so that they can be more supported, so they can achieve the things that they want.
But are there certain elements though? I mean, that maybe you're going to either put in a wood flooring or you're going to put in vinyl flooring. And I'm going off, the deep end here, but maybe the color isn't as meaningful or important as the elements of nature that you're bringing into your home. Would
so so there are 5 elements in feng shui, and that's one of the fundamental, before we can even talk about Chinese New Year, right? We're still on the fundamental concepts of Chinese metaphysics. The 5 elements are water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. And these 5 elements are widely discussed in feng shui. They're a type of qi. They are said to make up everything in the universe. Each of these has a numeric value, a behavior, a sound, a taste, a body part, a color relationship. These all have all these attributes and characteristics. And you see them in all kinds of Chinese metaphysics, in Qigong, in Chinese medicine, in acupuncture, and of course in feng shui. And so we have to understand what these elements are, because we want harmony and balance. And if something has too much of one element and not enough of another element, it's out of balance and it's out of harmony. So the type of material that you bring into your home can absolutely be a factor. If you live in a log cabin and everything is wood everywhere and there's not enough of other elements, it can be disruptive, unless your personal Chinese astrology chart needs the element. So this is one of the things I do in my own practice, is I look at the feng shui as it relates to a person's Chinese astrology chart to see how we can bring a person's individual energy into balance with the energy of the space. Cool. It's so fascinating.
Yeah, it is really, really fascinating. But have you always known this, or was this something that you discovered somehow along the way?
I was a little bit of a weird kid. I was not really.
Aren't we all weird?
Aren't we all a little bit weird? I was a little bit of a weird kid. I actually moved my furniture around a lot in my home as a child. I didn't know what I was doing.
I was too. I was always rearranging furniture.
I rearranged my furniture. My dad was like, rearranging the furniture again? Yep, I am. Go away. I'm going to clean now. And it evolved into like a self-help period in my 20s, early 20s. I feel like I read every self-help book that I could possibly read. And in there, I picked up books on feng shui. and actually had a conversation with a colleague of mine when I lived in California early on after I graduated college. She said, you came to my house and you brought this Feng Shui book and you said, I love this. This is what I want to do. I don't want to work my day job. I mean, apparently I said that. I don't remember having this conversation. She just told me this recently, that even back then I was into it and I found my way into formal training later in life. And I still worked a day job. I was convinced. I practiced Feng Shui. I used the techniques for myself. I improved my own life because I could identify issues that were going on. And in all honesty, I made a lot of money. I was really, really good at what I was doing. I was like golden handcuffs. I was going to stay, even though I wanted to work Feng Shui and have a business and help people, because I was having such a great experience with it. I was like, if I can do this, anybody can do this.
It was a big buzzword in the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, people were just all into that. And if there was a consultant or somebody that could help guide them way, oh man, you became a guru like that.
Right. And at that time, the other thing too, is that it was also sort of secret. Like you were going to hire somebody for Feng Shui and you're going to make your life better, but you weren't going to tell your friends and family that you were using Feng Shui because it was still a little bit dodgy then. It wasn't mainstream. Like now, if you say, I have this amazing Feng Shui person and she helped me, blah, blah, blah. They're like, oh, I need to know who that is. And that's largely how my business grows, because people get results and they tell people.
You know, there was a famous dude that said something along the lines, it's hard to be a doctor in your hometown.
Yeah. I had to leave. I mean, I'm originally from Ohio. I had to go to California and then I had to move away again. Now I live in Phoenix, Arizona, to be able to attract the population that's right for the kind of stuff that I do. Because I also know that I'm not right for everybody. I mean, I'm highly intuitive. My clients they like to co-create their lives. They're usually ambitious. They're goal-oriented. They're usually into all other kinds of modalities, and understanding that Feng Shui is part of the tool that can help them get where they want to go. It's unfortunately it's not magic fairy dust.
Right. Sprinkle fairy.
But Jillian, I've also heard you talk about how important doors are, or doorways, and I don't know, is it the direction that they're facing, or what direction you're entering through a door? Tell me a little bit more about doors. Okay.
Right. So my teacher used to say this all the time in my mastery training. She said, people, when they want Feng Shui, they want the whole enchilada. And sometimes all you get are the nachos. And the nachos are your doors, your bed, your stove, your water features where your pool is placed, or you have a fountain or a spa or hot tub. Your office position, the way that the chi flows in the space. And it happens to be that here in America, our homes are prefabricated. We're not largely like finding a plot of land and putting a house somewhere and orienting the house in the land, which is really what Feng Shui is for. Right. We go in real estate and I think this house is pretty. It feels really good. I can see myself here. And then you get in it and your life starts to fall apart. And then you call for Feng Shui, which is what happened to me actually. And so I totally understand that. The doors are super important because this is what's called the mouth of chi, or the entrance point for chi. So where the chi comes in, how it flows in, how easily it is to access, and the type of chi that you're encountering when you bring it in is influential.
So you're saying then that we can change our luck, so to speak, by entering one door of a building rather than another door of a building?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. I have a client who works for a high-end fashion house in New York, and she moved from Asia to New York. And we looked at the building that she was going to be going into, where it is. I can't talk about her specifically, but we basically looked at it remotely. And I said, I need to know where the doors are in this building. And based on her energy and the orientation of the building, I was like, don't use this door on your first day, use this other door on your first day, because this is a better door for you. But so she really brought the energy in with her. It was really amazing experience. She messaged me after her first week. She was like, you were so right about that door. I tried going out the other door for lunch with my boss, and we didn't really get along that day. And then I went to the other door that you told me to use, and it was much better the next day. It was really interesting.
And how do we know which direction we should be entering? Is it something based on our birth dates, or where we were born, or when we were born, or anything like that? Or how do we know?
There are a lot of factors.
Okay.
So it's never one thing, but one of the simple systems that people can tap into is a system called 8 mansions. So on my website, there is something called a Bazi calculator, and it will allow someone to type in their birthday information and it spits out this amazing chart with all kinds of details. And one of the sets of details in that, and it's free, you can get what are called your lucky directions. And so people based on their birthday are divided into two groups, either what are called East Life group or West Life group. And the chart does the calculation for you. You don't have to try to figure it out. And it will tell you what are your 4 quote good directions and quote bad directions. And the more that you use your good directions, the more you can align yourself with energy that's favorable for you. So for example, if you were going to your favorite coffee house and you were going to have a meeting, and it was an important meeting, maybe it was a date or it was a business meeting or something that was significant in some way, you may want to get there early and then identify one of your 4 good directions and sit facing that direction. So if you're an East Life group person, you may want to face north, for example, so that you're aligning yourself with energy that's favorable during that meeting. And then wherever the other person sits is up to them, but you're positioning yourself in energy that's favorable for you. So it can,
it's interesting because I'm looking at my own chart from your site.
Yeah.
I'm watching Jackie and I can just see the gears are just.
So I've seen that my lucky directions for wealth.
So I just want to take a minute and remind our listeners that you're listening to Life Mastery Radio. Pretty cool stuff, huh? You can find out more. We just heard about a link to this calendar, and you can find out more on our website at lifemasteryradio.com or .net. It will be in the newsletter, or you could go to FS in Motion. That's fsinmotion.com, and that's Jillian's website where it's pretty easy to find, right, Jillian?
Yes, the services are all listed on the site, and there's a button for Bazi calculator. You need to find it right away. Easy.
Oh my gosh, what a discussion. Jackie, we're going to have her back on because I don't think we explained the Chinese New Year.
We haven't even gotten to Chinese New Year yet. I was thinking
we need to do that. We need to get there. So why is the Chinese New Year so significant to us who may not be Chinese?
Right. So this year is the year of the Yang water tiger. And each year we like to understand the energy that is visiting so that we can get an understanding of what to expect. And this actually comes from something called the Shah calendar. It's commonly known as like a farmer's calendar, which is a solar calendar. It's fascinatingly accurate. It records the passage of time and is a tool used for forecasting. So it holds all the information about time represented in 4 sections: a year, a month, a day, and an hour. And this is also sometimes called the 4 pillars. And it also uses the 5 elements that we talked about just before. There is a lunar calendar also. So there are 2 calendars in Chinese culture. The lunar calendar is what's more commonly celebrated for Chinese New Year, which could be January, it could be February. The date vacillates because it's the lunar calendar. So for the purposes of Feng Shui and for Chinese astrology, in my practice, I use a solar calendar because it's very precise and only vacillates by a few hours every year, which makes it very, very accurate and good for forecasting. So when we read a Chinese astrology calendar date, we read it from right to left. We see the year, the month, day, and the hour. We have 8 boxes. The top row are what are called heavenly stems, and the bottom row are earthly branches, and the earthly branches are the animal signs. So this is what people know. People go, oh, I was born in the year of the snake, or I was born in the year of the ox. And so you have some understanding about the animal signs. Now, the energy of this year is Yang water tiger. So Yang water is like massive water element, like energy from the water from the ocean. It's huge amount of water. It's yang, it's big, it's expansive. And then the tiger carries the element of wood element. So the imagery that we think about is like a tree, like an oak tree that is strong and sturdy and thick and stable. So you can almost picture like a big lake with a huge log on top of it, where the log is floating on the lake. Or you might think of like a crocodile in the river, where you can kind of see it looks like a log, but it's a crocodile going down the river. So the animal branch for the year is the tiger. And it's pretty strong energy. This is pretty massive. These are strong elements because they're both yang elements, and they're pretty passionate. If you've ever experienced the energy of the ocean, it's passionate, fierce, strong, deep energy. And the energy of yang wood can be quite immovable, which can bring conflicts. And we're already starting to see that this year, unfortunately.
What are some of the other things that we can, I don't want to give energy to expect, but what are the other things that might come into fruition?
Yeah. So one of the things that I find really interesting about the Yang water tiger, we read it as what's called a pillar. And this pillar of Yang water tiger, it's Runyan is the Chinese name for it, Runyan. And it's one of 10 spiritual pillars. So there's 10 combinations of all of the 60 combinations that can be had. There's only 10. And this year of the tiger is one of them. And so what that means is that people are kind of walking into this year feeling like it's an endless night, like wondering when it's all going to end.
And that's so very true.
It's
right?
so true.
I mean,
It's almost surreal. Like people feel like nothing is as it seems. Everything is so mysterious.
What's next? I think
what's like,
too, right? A lot of people are like,
next?
okay, what's next?
Right. There's so much injustice going on. And that actually, the injustice aspect has to do with the fact that there's no metal element in the year, because we have Yang water tiger, there's no metal. Metal actually is an indicator in the 5 elements of justice. And so we're seeing all this instability throughout the world and upheaval, and it can be pretty dangerous. So when this happens, people turn to spirituality, right? We're starting to like feel, what's my purpose here? How can I create a better world? What can I do to change things?
Is that because people are looking for answers? They're looking for solutions, and they're asking why? Why is this? Is that why?
Yeah. Well, we're coming out of a couple years of grief, sadness, isolation. And now we're having a year of conflict that no one was expecting.
Wow.
Nobody that I'm connected with could predict anything like this. We certainly didn't predict the pandemic because these are massive issues that we have no way of predicting them. And so when this happens, people start to wonder what their place is in the world. And it happens to be that this pillar comes in as an extra layer of energy. And it's sort of like a momentum behind you that pushes you forward to exploring this even deeper. So if somebody has this pillar in their chart, this Yang water tiger in their chart, there's somebody who could be timid or extremely aggressive, usually someone who's highly sensitive, somebody who operates heavily on intuition, could be a bit of a purist mindset, could be somebody with a one-track mind, but has a very strong spiritual intelligence, someone who has a high learning ability, someone who's interested in spiritual enlightenment or spiritual growth, having a spiritual practice, having a greater understanding of human emotions. And that is very popular right now. And that is largely because we're all feeling this extra energy coming in this year.
Fascinating. Oh my gosh. How do you sleep at night?
I sleep really, really well because I have great feng shui. So I sleep really, really well.
So give our audience then an example of what you can do with this information, because before the show, you took some demographics from Todd and I, and you can now give us some, I don't know, ideas or maybe.
Yeah, there's 2 things I'll say. One is that we kind of go, where is this all leading? So it happens to be that this year is a kind of a big opening point for a 12-year cycle, because the energy of this year, I'm sorry, I should back up. The energy of this year is the same energy as the month where the year began. So the month of February is when the year began, because on the Chinese calendar, we start February 4th every year. So February's month energy was the same as the year. Now we're talking about this in March. So the energy of March in 22 is the same energy as 23. The same energy that we're going to see in April is going to be the same energy as 24. So what people can start doing is paying attention this year to what's happening. And in my Chinese New Year Essential Guide, I have a manifestation mastery exercise that has a calendar that helps you write down the challenging stuff that happens and the good stuff that happens, so that when you come up to the corresponding year in the future over the next 12 years, you can start to say, oh, the month of April was really amazing for me, and I'm going to take advantage of this energy because I'm going to have this energy all year. So I'm going to prepare for it. Or you might have a month that's a little bit challenging, and you might be like, oh, well, I should be prepared for that year coming up so that I know that this was not a good year for me and I can plan accordingly. So having a record of what happens this year helps you plan for the next 12 years. And knowing that information, you can really take advantage of paying attention. Like we talked about this earlier, Todd, you said it helps you pay attention. What's going on? If things are not good, what can I do to make it better, so that you can start to have a ripple effect of what's coming? That's one bit. The other bit is that The next thing to do is to know your Chinese astrology chart. When you know the basics of your Chinese astrology chart, you can understand the energy that's coming in and how it corresponds to you. So, for example, if you are somebody who in your Chinese astrology chart, you have an animal sign of a monkey, this year, that is what's called the clash animal for the year. So the animal of the monkey could be someone born in 44, 56, 68, 1980, 1992, 2004, 2016. 2016 was a monkey year. And the month of the monkey is the month of August. So the party this year, the party really starts in August. We think the party's already started. The party really, really kicks up in August because we started to see things unfold and conflict in February, and we're starting to see them increase, but it's really going to be, for a lot of people, the month of August is going to be when things really kick in. And that could mean disturbance. It could mean change. It can mean movement. It's not always a bad thing. I don't actually always think that, I mean, we never want people to suffer, but clashes individually are generally not such a bad thing, because usually when something clashes, something needs to change. And if you are somebody who's open to change and you go with it, then usually something amazing happens on the other end.
Good things come from chaos and entropy.
Exactly. So moving.
I was just going to say quickly, you talked about the guide. Where can people find that guide? That's your ebook, right?
It's an essential guide just for the year. So the website link for that is I think it's fengshuiinmotion.com, and then it's /Chinese-new-year-essential-guide. And there's a link.
It'll
to
be
it
in our
resources.
blog post. Yeah, it'll be our blog post, and we'll put it on there.
Yep. And it's in the resources section of the site too. So you can get lots of information about Chinese New Year as well. So when you know your animal sign, you can know if you're going to get help in the year. So one of the things that people always want to know, like, am I going to have a clash? Is it going to be my clash year? Are there going to be challenges? And then if there are going to be challenges, can I get help? So help are what are called nobleman stars. Everybody wants nobleman stars because noblemen are like helpful people that come in when things are dire or when you need support. They're generally really good. So currently in the year of the tiger, it's a nobleman year for those people who are born on the day or the year of yang metal or yin metal. So yang metal are years that end in 0, like 70 or 80. And yin metal means years and anything ending in a 1. So 61, 71. And they are great because if you have noblemen this year, then you get extra help. And it's a great time to make change jobs, do something different, make a move of some kind, because you can get extra help.
Fascinating.
That's one aspect of it. And we saw in both of your charts, because we talked about this before we began, that each of you has a peach blossom star for the year. The peach blossom star for the year is used to measure someone's affinity with likability and attractiveness, and sometimes when a romance will occur, if someone's looking for a romance. But it certainly is something that can be used for business purposes, and it can be anywhere in your chart. So the peach blossom star for the year is the animal sign of the rabbit. So if you are somebody who has an animal sign of the rabbit in your chart, it could be anywhere. It could be the year, could be the hour, it could be the month, day, could be in your 10-year luck pillar. It's a great time to get out there and connect with people because they may be able to introduce you to other people, can help you with your networking. It's great if you're trying to develop a social media presence or if you're trying to enhance your business activities, just as an example.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I think I was born in the year of the rabbit. So what does that mean for me?
That means that your visibility and your attractiveness comes from your exterior of your network. So it's going to come from people who are outside of you. Like I had said, sometimes you just go to the grocery store and people talk to you and you're like, I don't know why you're talking to me. Like just because they can feel your energy and they can feel that your attractiveness. And it can be that your likability happens from things that are farther away from you. We like to say your network or your public persona, whereas Todd's is in a different part of his chart. And so it may have more to do with his fans, his clients, his employees, more about his hopes and inspirations and aspirations. Could be investments. But generally we're talking about people, right? So when I say clients, fans, could be children, could be those kinds of aspects, just because of where it is in his chart. Now, if you have a rabbit in your month, that is going to relate to your career. So it could be that in your workplace, people really like you. People want to talk to you. They're going to ask you for help. They're going to ask you for support, that you're going to be able to enhance your career through people that you connect with easily because of this extra likability and attractiveness. Now, if you're looking for a relationship and you are looking for a romance, it's very helpful to have this in your chart because it helps as an indicator. Now, if you have this in your chart and you're looking for a relationship, I always say this: go out, meet people, and make sure that person looks good next year because they might look good now. They might not look so good next year.
Well, that's just a lot of information.
It's a lot.
I'm just blown away.
I know. It's like, how do you keep track of all these different animal signs and stars and luck symbols? And
that's my jobby job.
I know.
Right. And this is why I do what I do, because I really love it. And I love helping people and seeing people have an understanding of themselves, and using this information so they can have a better life is incredibly gratifying and meaningful.
So it's best not for people to try to interpret all this themselves. It's best to go to someone like you.
I think it's helpful because it's easy to get lost in the weeds. It's very easy to get lost in the weeds, and it's very helpful to have a very specific topic or question when you're looking at a chart. That's generally when I do a reading with somebody, I talk to them first. We spend almost an hour talking about their lives and their history and getting some background information, and then asking what their goals are, what it is that they're trying to ascertain through the reading, and then come back after I've had a chance to look at the chart and go and dig into the nitty gritty of getting that question answered. When should I get married? When's a good time to have a baby? What's happening with my career this year? I want to publish a book. When's a good time to do that? I had a move and it didn't go well. What's going on? Those kinds of things. And that's one aspect of what I do. I also use other resources, but since we're talking about Chinese astrology,
that just popped into my mind. It's interesting that you said that, because reading charts and ancient Chinese charts, I guess is what you'd say. I'm curious about the interpretation from the person doing the reading and the incorporation of your own intuition. Do those come in, or is it pretty well cut and dry? Okay.
So my intuition is strong. I'm not a psychic. I never say that I'm a psychic, but I have a strong intuition. And the information that you can glean from a chart is only meaningful if you have a spirit of focus. If you have something that you can focus on. If someone just says, tell me about myself, that's lovely and interesting and it's entertaining and it's fun. However, it's not so meaningful unless you are trying to have something that you want to focus on as a goal, which is why a lot of my clients are naturally intuitive, and they are goal oriented and they're ambitious. And so they're looking to use this information to create some leverage so they can get to what they want to do and where they want to go faster, and with more ease and more grace, instead of running into obstacles and issues.
Help them pay attention and make better choices.
Pay attention, make better choices, make informed choices. If this is the year to write a book, then sit down and write your book. If it's the year to go on a speaking tour, go on a speaking tour. If it's the year to ask your boss for a raise, you want to know that in advance so that you can make sure you're doing a good job and you're performing at work, so that when you do the ask, you're in a position to get what you want. Because if you don't actually take the action in advance, then the chances for that opportunity to come are going to be slimmer.
Fascinating.
So knowing this in advance can be super helpful. And that way, when things change, when the building closes and you lose your job, in advance that something is going to change and you can be prepared for it. If you want a relationship and you're looking to find a partner, and you know that person may be coming this year, then you can prepare yourself. You can get yourself right emotionally. You can get your financial house in order. You can get your physical space ready for
in order.
Get your feng shui in order so that you can be ready for that life partner.
That's
now, does this, knowing this and being able to look at what happened in the past and what you can look forward to in the future, and the future could be like the next day, right? Or it could be a week from now or something like that, or next year. Does that diminish your ability then to manifest certain things in your life, or does it make it more powerful to manifest certain things in your life?
My experience is it makes it more powerful, because it gives you something to focus on. If somebody says that they want to have a baby, but their health is not good, we need to get the health fixed first. And we need to know the right timing for the opportunity to come and how much runway we have. So if you want to have a baby, and let's say you want to have a baby before you turn 35 and you're in your late 20s, we need to see what's happening over the next couple of years. If there's a health issue, how much time we have to get that addressed so that you can welcome a baby in a healthy, positive way. And one aspect of it is your Chinese astrology, and one aspect of it is your Feng Shui. So when I talk about the 3 lucks, when we say heaven luck, human luck, earth luck, we really can control about 2/3. We cannot control heaven luck. We can't fate it.
Yeah.
We can't do anything about that, but you can do something about your free will. You can do something about your mindset. You can do something about your physical environment to make sure you're energetically aligned with the most supportive energy available. And when you do that, you can shift the trajectory of your destiny a little bit, about 2/3.
So can you give us an example then of a particular client that came to you with
I was just thinking of a testimonial.
Yeah, a desire for something, and
couple of
through Feng Shui or through the coaching that you gave them, that something changed for them?
Yeah. So actually, I have a gentleman client who I've been working with for a number of years who had gotten divorced and had read a bunch of Feng Shui books and called me and was like, I read this in the book and I don't understand. And this says me to decorate this. And this is conflicting and I don't get it. And so he was really confused. The poor guy was so confused. So we spent a lot of time talking, and I went to his home after he had gotten divorced. He was living there with one of his children, and there was not a stitch of flooring anywhere in the house because he was so confused and so stuck that he didn't decorate anything because he thought it was all about decoration. And so what we ended up discussing in that particular house was that the house was not supportive for him, because he was like, I'm talking about if I should put in a pool and if I should do this and if I should do XYZ with the house. He had all these ideas about what he wanted to do, but was feeling really stuck. And it turned out that the goals that he had, the house that he was in, was totally not supporting him in the things that he wanted. And so what we ended up discussing, this is, by the way, in all my years, I've told 5 people to move. This is not a conversation I have lightly, but he was not getting where he wanted to go in that house. And
you were one of them though too, right?
I'm sorry?
Didn't that happen to you?
Well, I fixed that house. I moved into the house and my life fell apart, and I used Feng Shui and I fixed it.
Okay.
That particular house for him was in a situation where like he wanted to get into a relationship, and it was very clear that no new relationship was going to come in that house for a long list of reasons. And so we discussed him getting the house staged so that he could sell it. And then we talked about working together to find a new place. And that's exactly what happened. We worked together. He staged it with a professional stager. We used the right timing to put the house on the market. He got more money than he expected out of the sale of the house, found this amazing place with me. And within a couple of short few months of moving into this new house, he got into a relationship, and I've helped him with his franchise and his business. And he's now one of my VIP clients. I work with him on a monthly basis. He's kind of amazing. So it's just an example.
Oh my goodness, ladies. That is fascinating. We only have about 4 minutes left, Jillian. This hour just flew by.
I have a lot to say about Chinese metaphysics.
Oh yeah. Well, it's so fascinating, and there's so much to it, and there's so much more that we can do. And is there one thing that we should have touched on? We talked about a lot of things. Entice us to visit your website or check out your calendar.
Yeah. So I say that Feng Shui favors action, and knowing the right timing and the right alignment to do things makes a huge difference. And that's why people work with me, because they're ambitious and they want to get where they're going a little faster. And one of the things that I encourage people to do is to get to know me. Signing up for my newsletter is a great way to do that. You can do that on the website. I also offer classes. So if this is something that you want to learn more about, we can study together. Or if you just want to have your own experience of Feng Shui and Chinese astrology, that's available as well. I work locally, and of course I work all over the United States. And I can, for people who don't want me in their home individually because of the pandemic, I can do work remotely as well. So there's a lot of options.
You're in the age of Zoom. So you can take a virtual tour of somebody's space via Zoom.
And we have GPS, so I can actually see the orientation of the property. There's quite a bit that can be done these days that couldn't be done. There's some limitations, right? There's wealth formulas that cannot be applied, but there's quite a bit that we can do remotely for people who are really challenged. And it's very gratifying to keep the good energy flowing and people staying in the flow of energy so they get where they want to go. And experiencing being with the flow of the energy is so much different. It's like going down the river with the flow of the river instead of trying to row against the energy. It's much more satisfying.
Well, having the insight to know what's going on when it happens, right? When we're paying attention is very powerful. And I highly recommend that people check out Jillian, check out her website, check out her calendar. She's got some events coming up that are kind of super secret right now, but
we're going to talk about the I Ching. We're going to talk about the secrets of the I Ching and how to use the I Ching without a book. Because a lot of times people go, I need an I Ching book and I don't know how to read it. It's overwhelming. Well, I'm going to teach people how to do it without a book.
without a book.
Nice.
That's coming soon. So more
Yes.
news at 11. Stay
Tell
tuned.
them your website, Jillian.
Feng Shui in Motion. My business is Feng Shui in Motion. The website is fsinmotion.com.
Nice.
Thank you so much for showing up again as you. This is just fascinating. And look at Jackie. She's got a big smile on her face. She's pondering her next move. That's what she's doing.
right.
I can see it in her mind.
Thanks for sharing with me. It was great to see your charts and get to know you both a little bit more. You guys have so much intertwined in your personalities because of your charts. It's fascinating.
It's no wonder we're good friends.
Yes.
That surprised me a bit. Any quick takeaways, Jackie? We got a couple seconds.
Oh no, I find it all very fascinating, and I'm going to look at these charts that she's allowed me to download. Look for the links to that as well, everyone, so you can look at your own charts. I'll be sending that out in the blog. So
Cool. It'll be on the newsletter. Check us out, lifemasteryradio.com. That's about all the time we have today. Please tell a friend about the show. Did you have fun today? Did you have a blast today, Jillian? You can just imagine what our listeners had.
I had a blast. I love having these great conversations where the questions are really interesting and then they're meaningful to people listening. So it was a great conversation.
Tell a friend about it. And lastly, check out Jillian's website. I can't say that enough. And please, please, please make it a great day because it is all about choice. Bye-bye for now.
bye, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to Life Mastery Radio. Join Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery through stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Visit their website, www.lifemasteryradio.com. Join their mailing list and be notified about upcoming guests. That's lifemasteryradio.com.